तेजस्विन् अवधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Hari Om, salutations to all. So the 11th mantra of Kaivalya Upanishad, we have had many breaks in between. Ashvalayana Rishi goes to Brahmaji, and having gone to Brahmaji, he asks him for Brahma Vidyam Varishtham. Please teach me that which is the supreme knowledge of Brahman. And why does he want to know? Yaya Chirat Sarva Papam Vyapohya. Very quickly, giving up all false identification, Parat Param Purusham Yati Vidwan. One attains the supreme consciousness, one discovers the supreme consciousness. So Brahmaji said, Shraddha Bhakti Dhyana Yogad Avaihi. Come to know this truth through Shraddha Bhakti and Dhyan Yoga. Shraddha we saw is an intellectual quality, it is faith. Bhakti is a bhavana, and a combination of these two helps a person to go into dhyan, into contemplation, and destroy this avidya. One comes to realize the truth. This knowledge is not attained by any of the regular means. Na karmana, na prajaya, na dhanena. Immortality can't be attained by any of these three. Then how it is attained? Tyage naike, by dropping false identification, not by acquisition. It's the path of tyaga. It's not a path of bhoga or accumulating. Tyage naike eka. Only through that method where false identification we let go, we come to know the truth. When where is the truth? In our heart. Beyond the heavens, parenanakam nihitam guhayam vibhrajate. It is shining every moment in our heart as aham, I am, I am, I am. Yad yatayo vishanti, the great yatis, those who are self-controlled seekers, who are contemplating on the truth, they experience that state. So who are these yatis and how do they enter? So the process of Vedanta sadhana, which is Shravan Manan Nididhyasan, that was explained. Vedanta Vijnana Sunischitarthaha. So one listens, reflects, Sunischitarthaha, then Sannyasa Yogad. One contemplates and drops the false identification that I am not this jiva, I am not this body, I am infinite consciousness. And they who can do that, whose mind has become pure, Shuddha Sattvaha. They experience the Supreme Brahman when the ego has died fully, or if that is called Jivan Mukti. If the person has not realized the truth while living, but is seeking consistently, and because of prarabdha getting over, the body drops. And this person doesn't have any vasanas, bhoga vasanas. Then the person goes to Brahmaloka. Te Brahmalokeshu Parantakale. That is called Krama Mukti, gradual liberation. This is liberation while living, that is gradual liberation. So this Upanishad said that in fourth mantra, and there they get the knowledge by from Brahmaji when the pralay happens and they come to realize the truth. Then how to do this nididhyasan? Those steps were given in mantra 5. Sit quietly, sit in sukhasan in a solitary place, with a with cleanliness at the body and the mind level, head, neck, and spine in a straight line, having withdrawn the senses, having prostrated to the Guru. Then one contemplates. So pointers of the truth were given for contemplation. Virajam, Vishuddham, Vishadam, Vishokam. 4 pointers were given in fifth mantra. And then it was said, if some more pointers were given, Achintyam, Avyaktam, Ananta Rupam in sixth mantra, Vibhum Chidanandam, Arupam, Adbhutam. All these are Nirgun Nirakar Tattva pointers. Then also Sagun Sakar was said, Uma Sahayam, Parameshwaram, Prabhum, Trilochanam, Neelakantham, Prashantam. Meaning Upanishad does not discriminate between Sagun Sakar, Nirgun Nirakar. It is one Tattva appearing as Sagun Sakar also, Nirgun Nirakar also. As per the Adhikara, whatever one likes, one can take. And it will lead the person to the same truth. See, even here it is a Dhyatva Munir Gacchati Bhuta Yoni. So even Sagun Sakar, if one meditates, it will lead a person to that infinite consciousness only, because it's one truth. One should not have unnecessary superiority complex or inferiority complex that, I am only worshipping a form, I am more primitive. Oh, that person is worshipping formless, oh, very advanced. Bhavna has to be there in whichever one I use, and consistently I should be able to follow that, which is what Bhagavan says to Arjun in the Gita. When Arjun asked the same question in the 12th chapter, that which one is better, form or formless? There Bhagavan says that Maya Veshyamano Yemam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayopeta. 3 pointers he gives. The mind is fully absorbed in that particular uh, way in which we contemplate on Bhagavan. So either Sagun Sakar or Nirgun Nirakar, fully absorbed in that. Nitya Yukta, consistently one is able to do. Sometimes we start off very nicely, Hare, formless contemplation, oh, Chidananda Rupa, Shivoham, Shivoham. 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, easy. After that, the mind may feel, oh, no, no, no. And that will manifest as avoiding, escaping, laziness, don't want to do. But Nitya Yukta, if my mind enjoys that, it is ready for that, it gets absorbed in that, then Nitya Yukta Upasate and Shraddhaya Parayopeta, with supreme faith. One uh, one engages in that sadhana, that this contemplation on the form or the formless will lead me to realize the truth, will lead me to oneness. So Upanishad also doesn't discriminate form, formless. That is all created by these other people who think that idols are lower and higher, and they are the lower ways of. Some of them don't even accept the ways of worship, and they want to destroy the idols. Idolatry and all that has been created by this Abrahamic religions. Otherwise, where every culture has symbols and idols. Now, having said that, seventh mantra spoke about that. Then that same Bhagavan, Uma Sahayam Parameshwaram, is appearing as all forms was also said. Sa Brahma, Shivaha, Vishnu, Sendra, Sokshara, Paramaswarat, Kalaha, Agni, Chandrama. That was explained. Eighth mantra. Then this ninth mantra, Saeva Sarvam Yadbhutam Yacha Bhavyam Sanatanam Gnatva Tam Mrityumatyeti Nanya Pantha Vimuktaye. This ninth and tenth, these are the uh, two mantras which indicate the vision of the realized person. That one who has experienced this oneness through all these processes that we spoke, how that person sees. One sees the whole universe as one. What was, what is, what will be, all is appearance of one truth. And Upanishad says there is no other method to realize the truth except this. What? What was described? Contemplation. And what is the result of this oneness? Sarvabhutastham atmanam sarvabhutani cha atmani. One sees all the beings in the self and self in all the beings, meaning one sees absolute oneness, and there is natural love, compassion, service that will happen spontaneously. Because the identification has shifted from one small I to the entire universe. Sampashyan Brahma Paramam, having experienced that Supreme Brahman, Yatinanyena Hetuna. This is the only way to attain this, meaning dissolve this small I. How do we dissolve? Now comes the 11th mantra where we saw the analogy of the Arani Manthan. How fire is created in the Vedic way. We had seen one video also where this churning happens. I'm just going to share it again so that becomes clear. The analogy has to get explained. So this is the Vedic way by which the fire is created. You see there are blocks below, wooden block. In that there is a hole, and they put this. They fix this wooden rod in that hole, and they apply pressure from the top, and then they churn. So that friction will produce sparks. And while they do that, they chant the name of Bhagavan. So you will hear some things in Tamil in this, but chanting etc. one can understand. And what do you call that? Coconut husk. Sometimes they're twigs, sometimes the coconut husk, all that which is used, so that the sparks which come out, they will be converted into fire. This coconut husks will catch that, and the fire is brighter, and then that is used for the Vedic rituals. And that same fire after that will be used in the kitchen, etc. So no chemicals, nothing. This is the simple process of creating the fire.
चित्ती 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 आप आओ, मम्मी आई.
இது அக்னி கிடையாது இது பண்ணால் அதுலேருந்து அக்னி வரும். அடிச்சு போகும்போது இதெல்லாம் போட்டு பண்ணக்கூடாது. கொட்டாங்க சுட கற்பூரம் போட்டு பண்ணக்கூடாது, சுடக்கூடாது. இப்படிதான் அக்னி பண்ணான். நான் ஒரு பரோட்டா வச்சு நினைக்கிறேன், வச்சுட்டு தான் வச்சுருக்கேன். அது இருக்கணும். இது வந்து
அக்னி வரவழைக்கிறார் இதுல இருந்து. அக்னி அக்னி பாருமா.
அக்னி பகவானியா?
பாரு பாரு.
சொல்லுங்க சொல்லுங்க என்னென்ன
சரி நீ பாரும்மா, அப்புறம்
பார்க்கறதே தெரியும்ல என்னென்னு.
தெரியும் பாரு.
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे राम, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे.
அப்பா ராம ரொம்ப பிரமாதம் 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 அம்மா. தன்யோஸ்மி.
ராம சீதனுக்கு கட்ட இதுவா இருக்கு.
பாருங்க
பெங்களூர்ல லேட் ஆச்சு.
ஆமா ஏமாமா பெங்களூர்ல லேட் ஆச்சு
இல்ல
பெங்களூர்ல
அது அரவிந்த் பிரம்மச்சாரி அக்னி வச்சிருக்கான் கையில சந்தியாவந்தனம் பண்ணிட்டு
சீக்கிரம் வந்துட்டேன்.
ஆமா ஃபேன் ஃபேன். அது பாரு அக்னி இது பண்ணுறதுக்காக. ஆ
கிட்ட இருக்குதா?
So that was the traditional way by which Agni is made. And you saw how the chanting happens, and as they keep increasing the speed, the chanting also they increase the speed. So the idea is what? The mantra here says, Atmanam Aranim Kritva. There's a lower Arani, the base which was there, where different holes are there, and then they put this rod in that. So that Atmanam Aranim Kritva, Pranavamcha Uttara Aranim, the above Arani. So here they have little more sophisticated method where the rod is there and there is a handle up, so then one can stand and one can press. That pressure and then that friction will create that fire. In the traditional days, otherwise, what will happen is one person will hold this upper Arani. There's a cup, wooden cup facing downwards, and there's a wooden cup facing upwards. So the cup which is below face upwards, cup which is on top face downwards, and there is one rod in between. So one person is holding it tightly and the others are churning. Just like same here also it was happening. Now, Atmana Maranim Kritva Pranavam Cha Uttaranim. Jnana Nirmathana Abhyasat. This Nirmathanam is Jnana Abhyas. Pasham Dahati Panditaha. His bondage is burnt by the Pandit through the fire that will be created through this Arani Manthan. That is Jnana Abhyas, that will, the fire that will be created. So, what is the meaning here now? Who is a Pandit here? Pasham Dahati Panditaha. So, when we think of the word Pandit, in our mind, what comes is a Pujari who does some puja, some rituals, has some, you know, little bit of tough hair here, wears some dhoti, has some special marks, does some chanting. So we connect Pandit only to all these. But see the definition of the Upanishads and how Shankaracharya ji defines in the Gita also, in the Gita commentary, he says that Panda Atmavishaya Buddhi Yasya Asti Sa Panditaha. One who knows the self, one who knows very clearly, I am not this body, is a wise person, that is Pandit. Here also same thing it is, Panditaha, Pasham Dahati Panditaha. This wise person destroys this bondage caused by ignorance of the self, he destroys. And for that he uses the process of Nirmathanam, this Arani Manthan. So Arani Manthan, first thing to be done is there has to be the lower Arani, the wooden cup below. That lower Arani must face the upper Arani. If the lower Arani is not facing the upper Arani, there will not be fire which can be created. Why? Because if the lower Arani also is kept ulta like this, then it cannot hold the rod. So it's like this, no? If you see this first one, this is how it has to be traditionally. The lower Arani is facing the upper one, the rod in between, and then the upper Arani is there. Then the fire will be created. But if it is like this, the second one, the upper Arani is facing down, lower Arani also is facing down, then the rod can't stand. So what does that mean? It means that our mind, Atmana Maranim Kritva, this small I, so the mind which is extroverted, symbolized by the Arani, the lower Arani, if it is facing down, it means the mind has got extroverted. So that extroverted mind can't contemplate steadily, which is what happens to us so many times when we sit to contemplate, then the mind is wandering all over. Because the purification has not happened, Nishkam Karma Seva we have not done, and the single pointedness has not come yet through the Upasana, Nam Japa, surrender to Bhagwan, all that has not happened. One straight comes. And nowadays that is very common. One wants to skip all this, straight come into meditation. And enough and more on social media where one says that, oh, if you are not meditating, you are missing out something. See, there are techniques of things what people call as meditation. There are various things people are doing in the name of meditation. If somebody doing little bit of deep breathing and relaxation and quietening of the mind through some focus here, it's all right, that can be done. That's not technically meditation actually, that is only in the steps, relaxation, concentration, all that. And maximum one wants it for what? Some cholesterol has to reduce, BP has to reduce, mind has to become more positive, health has to improve, relationships has to improve. So for that one is using it. If one contemplates on Bhagavan, does nididhyasana, etc., if the mind is extroverted, it will not be able to steadily contemplate. Even japa will not happen steadily. So many times we do Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, any japa. The mind wanders all over because that much vasanas are there for bhoga, enjoyment, and one craves for it, as well as there is the what you call the pull of the senses, the selfishness in the mind, all this. So the arni has to be turned within. That which is facing downwards has to turn. It has to come upwards. Meaning, when one has seen enough in the world, one has got enough vairagya, one has been there, done that, done and dusted. There is no hankering after sense enjoyments in the world. And what one wants to seek, what Ashwalayana Rishi said, no, that Brahma Vidyam Varishtham, I want supreme Brahma Vidya, by which one will know the supreme consciousness as my true self. I want to know that. So the whole intensity is I want to know that truth. And one has done enough Vivek, Vairagya, all that has happened. It's not some passing phase, it's not some kind of an escapism. One has thought through, one has done Vivek, Atma Anatma Vivek, Nitya Nitya Vivek. This is all ephemeral. I want that which is eternal. And I have seen, I have done whatever duties have to be done, success had to be achieved, enjoyment. I have seen all that. There's no escape. But having seen all that, one has understood it will not give fulfillment. That mind has turned within. Again, within does not mean that one doesn't do any work outside. Whatever duties are there, one will do, but the hankering from inside is finished. Like today, we don't have any hankerings for childhood toys. We may even play with it if a small child is there, but no other hankering in the mind. One is not sitting and brooding and craving and desperately waiting, when will I get this? And none of that. Because one knows that there is no joy in that. One who has seen the world like that thoroughly, that mind has turned within. Atmanam aranim kritva. And it is facing that upper arni, which is Om. So what is that upper arni? Lower arni is the mind which is introverted, which has turned within. In the state of Shravan, Manan, already the mind learns to turn within. We will see all that comes now. But main point is craving is not there. And again, interesting thing is that this arani has to be empty inside. Then only that rod will go in. And there should be nothing else inside. It may be hollow, and if it has anything, some water, some oil, some juice, then the fire will not come. It has to be empty, hollow. Same way, these desires are filled in the mind. That mind can't be, first of all, introverted. It will again become extrovert. If there are attachments, if there is, the impurities, that mind can't contemplate steadily. So that lower arni, when we say Atmana Maranim Kritva, is a big preparation. There's a lot of preparation required for it. To empty, to let go of some desires are vain, false desires, useless actually. One just imagines and then one is chasing them. Some are futile, where one has seen the futility of it, enjoyed it, seen through it, its limitation, the pain that it can bring, and the new karmas it creates. One has seen through all that. So one is emptying the mind. So much clutter is there in this head. One has to empty. If that wooden cup is not empty, there is no process. The rod only will not go inside. How much we listen. So when the rod has become, when the arni has turned within, the wooden cup is turned within, how will it turn within? Through satsang it will turn within, through seva it will turn within, through sadhana it will turn within. Through Sanyam it will turn within, Swadhyaya it will turn within. All this one has to do. While doing all this, emptying has to happen. Please remember, all this is emptying process, not collecting process. Earlier also it was said, no, tyage naike amritatva manashuhu. This arani turning upward, meanings turning within, and emptying. So if I am listening to satsang, I am not gathering new information. I am letting go of false information with that, false notions with that. And the deepest false notion is I am this Mr. So and so. That has to be dropped. I hold on to that and then I add, I know Bhagavatam also, I know Ramayana also, I know this also, I know that also, this is said here, that is said there. I mean, one can be adept as a great scholar, no problem. But is it gathering information and strengthening this small I, that I am very wise, I have so many knowledge of so many scriptures and I can quote from here and there, nobody can defeat me in a debate. Now finished. Instead of emptying process, I have gathered more. That small I has to be thinned out. And this emptying has to happen in the mind. Same way, sadhana, if one does japa, it is supposed to empty the mind of every other thought. Only Bhagwan remains. Even the small I goes. But if that does not happen, mind either wanders everywhere because it has desires and impurities, or one creates my japa. I do so well every day. I do Swamiji. No compromise. Minimum one mala I do. And I am a great bhakta of Shivji. Okay. Now I am not increasing. I am not emptying. I am increasing. See, to generally explain something, to say functionally that I am devotee of Shivji, no problem. But this is if there is a certain sense of identification, then that emptying has not happened. Like that, one has to see so many sadhanas which we do, upvas, yatra, japa, tapa, tirtha, snan, so many things which we do. The whole process of sadhana is empty, keep on becoming empty. That atmana marinim kritva. In that, the first jnana sadhana is shravanam. When we listen, then only we will be able to turn within. When he says jnana abhyas means shravan, manan, nididhyasan. So this atma, first line when it says atmanam aranim kritva. When the mind has turned introvert, with such an introverted mind, one listens to the teacher, listens about the Mahavakya, listens about the truth, essential nature of mind. That listening is very, very crucial. First step is that. Because what to do with a mind which is turned within? If the mind has not been given a proper direction, it will go to sleep. Which is what happens so many times in satsang. One comes, one sits. If the satsang is not gripping enough, it all depends on one's mind also, as well as the way the satsang is being conducted. Mind wanders in satsang also, or the mind goes to sleep, or sitting in satsang, one is thinking, I have to finish this, I have to finish that, all that will happen. But if one has prepared the mind, one comes there, how Janak Maharaj used to do satsang. Only single pointed thought is about satsang. One is listening attentively. There is no wandering of the mind at all there. There is no false identification there. He is an evolved, realized being. But anyway, the point here is, how do we listen? In Ramayana, Tulsi Ramayana, in the Ram Gita, when Bhagwan is in the forest, Lakshman asks about bhakti, about vairagya, about moksha, about jnana, and that portion is called Ram Gita in Tulsi Ramayana. So there, before Bhagwan answers, he says, Sunahu tat man mati chitalai. Oh, my dear Child, listen with these three together. Man, symbolizing mind and emotions. Mati is the buddhi, intellect. And chitta means memory. So the emotions, thoughts, and memories, these only distract us. You bring all of them together, meaning don't be swayed by any one of them. With that attentive mind, when I listen carefully, then this Arni has turned within. And it is facing what? It is facing that upper Arni. That upper Arni is facing the lower Arni. So both are facing each other. Meaning this seeker is seeking this truth. This upper Arni is Pranavam. Pranavam cha Uttara Arni is Omkar. Omkar is the pointer of the truth. So earlier we saw that Achintyam Avyaktam Ananta Rupam is Nirgun Nirakar Tattva. Contemplation purely on nameless, formless, attributeless truth is using those pointers. Then we saw Uma Sahayam Parameshwaram Prabhum. Trilojanam Neelakantham Prashantam. That is Sagun Sakar Dhyan. Here it is Sagun Nirakar, which is Omkar. Om is actually only sound. It is Shabda Upasana. Nada Brahma it is. Brahman in the form of sound. It doesn't have a form. Traditionally, Omkar does not have a form in the sense that Upanishads don't uh, indicate the form. At least from what limited I know, I'm just saying. If there is some reference anybody has of the form of Omkar, because I've been searching. Abhi tak to nahi mila. I asked a few sadhus also. They said it is Rishi Prajna, meaning it is to some great rishis it has been revealed and then they gave it down and it's passing on through many generations. But like how we have the form of Ganeshji, form of Vishnu Bhagwan, form of Shiva, they all are mentioned in the Vedas as well as in the Puranas. Like Ganpati Atharvashirsha gives the form. And then Puranas describe much more detail, there's no doubt in that. So that way one has to check if there is some, but the major Upanishads are not giving any form. 10 major Upanishads on which Shankaracharya wrote the commentary, they are not, it doesn't give the form of Om like how we know today, this Om. That is not there. So it is actually Shabda Brahma. It is only sound. One only focuses on sound and makes the mind quiet. But the bhav is that is not only sound. It is Brahman in the form of sound. So it is Supreme Brahman only. All the three methods are there. Depending on the adhikar of the seeker can take whatever one likes. Sagun Sakar, Sagun Nirakar, or Nirgun Nirakar. Why is Omkar Sagun Nirakar? Meaning Omkar has no form, that's why it is Nirakar, but it represents Ishvara, it represents Brahman, and so as Ishvara, Omkar has gunas. So we say Ishvara is Sarvagnya, Sarvavyapi, Sarvashaktiman, Kripalu, Karma Phaladata, Karma Adhyaksha, like that qualities are there. So it is not some temporary sound that comes and goes. It is the eternal. It represents eternal. So again one says Sanatan. Omkar is Sanatan. It's the, because it is consciousness, it's not only sound. It is consciousness in the form of sound. So it goes on. The natural rhythm of the universe is Omkar. And one will see Omkar in so many. In the ocean waves, in the conch, in the blowing of the conch, in the ringing of the bell, in the cry of a small child or a small puppy, anywhere one will listen. Om. So the idea is that is the upper Arani. And the mind which has turned towards that, meaning I want to seek that. I want to know that truth. The rod is kept in between both these Aranis. Now, if you see this picture again, one interesting thing here is, if you see this one, the first one here, it will look like a smiley where a person is sad because the arani is turned downwards. And here, the second one here, it will look like a smile. Nice, na? When our mind is turned outside, we are like this, extroverted and getting beaten up, bashed up, burnt up in the samsara. And when we turn within, are anand hai. But Maya makes everybody feel ulta only. One thinks that, अरे बेचारा क्या हो गया इनको. Other day I was doing a satsang and the host came to drop me. So that host asked a very natural question, said, Swamiji, the language of it was very interesting. So that host said, Swamiji, what were you doing before and how did you become like this? How did you become like this means what? मेरा कोई दुर्गति तो नहीं हुआ है. I am very blissful, happy. But how did you become like this? Meaning, why did you leave all this? What made you leave all this? The intent was not anything wrong, but that wordings I found little amusing. And how did you become like this? Because so many people ask like that. If one sees through the illusoriness of the world, the only solution one has is you turn to the truth, because there are only two things: either the object is there or the subject is there. I mean, both exist together in that sense, but happiness can come either from the object or the subject. Now, object doesn't have it, bacha kya? Only subject, that is parishesha nyaya. What is remained remains. Law of remainder is that. What remains is only subject. So turn within. And then when we study the Shastra, etc., then we understand so many things. One lives happily. So this arani has turned within, this mind has turned within, and one is consistently seeking that Om. The rod in between. What is that rod? So arani has turned within, Shravan one is doing. The rod is the rod of reflection, logic, what the scripture gives, that how you are that. So the rod connects the lower arani with the upper arani. Knowledge will connect, reflection will bring that clarity and knowledge, and that knowledge will turn into conviction. So knowledge has to be one gains through satsang, and if of course the mind is pure enough, immediately one will realize the truth. Then this whole arani manthan process is not required. But if the mind is not fully pure, uttam adhikari one has not become, then one needs manana nididhyasana. This we had done earlier also in the Vedanta Vijnana Sunishchitartha. So the rod is required. That is logic. That logic given by the scriptures. And the method to reflect as given in the scriptures when we follow, then what happens? The false notion that I am this jiva, intellectually the conditioning that I have, that will go through manan. But that is not sufficient. It will, no doubt, intellectual conviction will come, but there's a habitual error that we have, which is false identification. Viparit bhavana, which we are carrying life after life. Viparit bhavana means exact opposite feeling. So my conviction says I am Brahman, but my identification with the body still makes me feel I am Jiva only. That Viparit bhavana goes by Nididhyasana. That's why this churning has to happen. The rope which is tied on the rod, that rope is the rope of sadhana nididhyasana. Nididhyasana sadhana, sorry. One churns. Using the scriptural logic and the conviction, then the rope is there and one is churning. That will create the fire. Jnana Agni it will create. The Jnana Agni will destroy bondage. Pasham dahati panditaha. Jnana nirmathanabhyasat pasham dahati panditaha. So what is the pasham? In the Arani Manthan analogy, those coconut husks which are there, they are used and then the fire is created. Fire is, it becomes brighter and brighter. Then they put all the other small twigs and everything and then that is used for the rituals. But here what is it? So avidya, kama and karma. Technically this is called pasha, bondage. In Vedanta that's the definition. Avidya, kama, karma. They are called Hridaya Granthi also, three knots of the heart, and they are also called as Pasha, that which actually binds. So, what actually binds us is not anybody outside, it is our own ignorance of the truth. I don't know who I am, and as a result of that, I feel incomplete. So, then there is karma, the desires which make me extrovert, and fulfilling of desires. I require a body and I have to do karmas. And each karma I do creates new karmas. Now to exhaust those new karmic bondages, I mean, the karmic results which I am getting and new karma impressions which are created, I need new bodies. So this cycle goes on. Avidya kama karma is the root cause of janma and mrityu. This is burnt away. Pasham dahati panditah. Through the right understanding that I am Brahman, I am not this body, mind, intellect, the world is illusory. If at all there is, everything is appearance of one Brahman. When one has withdrawn the senses, that time this is happening. One is withdrawing from senses also, withdrawing from the mind also, and then one is steadily contemplating, I am not this, I am not this, I am not this. When the false identification is reduced, destroyed, the truth anyway reveals. Like the clouds move, sun is revealed. The sun doesn't have to be produced by the clouds. The sun is appearing covered by the clouds, it will move. The moment the clouds move, sun is visible. In fact, the clouds are seen in the light of sun even when the clouds are covering the sun. So that way, Atmana Maranim Kritva Pranavam Cha Uttararanim Jnana Nirmathana Abhyasa. Now that fire came from where? That fire came from the wood itself. It was already there in the wood. The friction brought it out. Our nature is infinite consciousness. Jnana is our nature. Sat Chit, Chit is Jnana. So Satchidananda is our nature. This process of Jnana Nirmathana, Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan will bring out that all wrong knowledge, wrong identification, everything will get destroyed. What remains? Brahman alone, consciousness. So, this is to say that that infinite truth is not somewhere out there. It is in here. Though the analogy says there's upper Arni, lower Arni, this upper Arni is Om, lower Arni is the self, and the lower Arni has to face the upper Arni. In that it is a different, it's like something other. Here the mind has turned within and the Arni is Om. Om is in us. Don't think where is the Omkar. So I am the lower Arni now. Now I have to look up somewhere for Om. That's why that Arni turning within is important. Turning within means go deep within and realize I am that Omkar, my nature is consciousness, all that which Vedanta says to us. And whole process is happening inside us. Having heard Shravanam, then one does Manan through discussions, through one's own reflection. One clarifies the doubts, transforms that knowledge into conviction, And then, with that kind of a mind, one is steadily sitting and contemplating on the truth. No blankness, no dullness, wandering of the mind, none of that. Steady contemplation on the truth. And the intensity has to increase, like how you saw in that analogy. They start slow and then they increase the intensity. So that intensity has to increase of contemplation, where one is steadily able to contemplate, let us say, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. One may start with 5 minutes, 10 minutes contemplation and then slowly increase half an hour, 1 hour. Then that will linger on. Through the day also it will happen. One is doing the duties, but one knows deep inside, this is not me. My nature is Brahman. I am changeless, infinite consciousness. I am the Sakshi. If that helps, then use that. I am the Sakshi. This is all this is all happening by the BMI. I am not the doer. I am not the enjoyer. I am the witness. And what is the nature of the witness? Satchidanand. Now that abhyas is Jnana Nirmatana Abhyasat. Pasham Dahati Panditaha. So just like the fire is already inherent in the wood, it is unmanifest, it becomes manifest through this process. Same way this self is already there, our true self, but we don't know. Just like another example is oil. Oil is there in the seed. Any of these, sesame seed oil, suppose you say, til ka tel. Now that oil is already there in it, groundnut oil. Oil is inside it. Now it has to crush and then produce that oil out. So unmanifest will become manifest. Same way here, this unmanifest. This analogy, if you see, so Kaivalya Upanishad gives this analogy. Shvetashvatar Upanishad also has a similar analogy. Swadeham aranim kritva pranavam cha uttararanim. So here Atmanam aranim is said, there it is a Swadeham. It is same. Dhyana nirmathana abhyasat. Here it is Jnana nirmathana. In Shvetashvatara it is Dhyana nirmathana abhyasat. Here it is Pasham dhati panditaha. The wise man burns up the bondage. Here it is said, in Shvetashvatara it is said, Devam pashyet nigudhavat. Devam pashyet. One will see the self. Deva here does not mean some devata. Oh, which devata I will see. Dev means to illumine. Consciousness is that which illumines everything. So, Devam pashyet. One will come to be one with that. One will come to see, meaning realize. Nigudhavat. It is hidden as though. That which is hidden, what we saw earlier, unmanifest fire becomes manifest. Unmanifest oil in the seeds becomes manifest. That way. Devam pashyet nigudhavat. So, having explained this, now what the Upanishad will do is explain what is the upper arani and what is the lower arani. So the lower arani we saw is the jiva. So the Upanishad will go on to explain now who is this jiva. So that from mantra 12, so 12, 13, 14, these three will explain about who the jiva is. Then we see mantra even 14, actually, if we see half of it is jiva. 4 lines are jiva. The second, last 2 lines are about the upper arani, omkar. So 12, 13, 14 is the lower arani. Again, 14 and 15 is the upper arani, which is about omkar. So you see that 15 will explain about that Ishvara. And 16 is the main verse. That is the oneness of these two. The Mahavakya is revealed in this. Every Upanishad has a Mahavakya. Minimum one. They can have more also, but minimum one will be there. So the essential identity of the Jiva and Brahman, Jiva and Ishvara, is explained through the Mahavakya. That is revealed in Mantra 16. So for today, I will stop here. This topic we will take up because it's a new topic now. New topic in the sense the description of the Jiva. That we will continue in our next class. Any questions for today? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.